Good morning, students. Today we start with the first chapter of the subject, geography. And the first chapter is resources and development. It's a very important chapter, and everything that we see around us and every economic activity that we indulge in is for the sake of development. And of course, we use resources to develop, basically, to develop ourselves, to develop the society, the communities around, and of course the nation as a whole, right? So to start with, everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is for technologically accessible, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, can be termed as a resource, right? Now, of course, students, you have to understand these 4 or 5 lines are extremely important, right? Everything that is technological accessible, right, economically feasible, and culturally acceptable, right? Now, let's come to these topics first. Now, technologically accessible, right? There are certain things, there are certain technologies which might be available, but it is not accessible to us, right? We do not have access to them, like many technologies which can be termed as military technology. That is, you can call them sensitive technology. That is, technologies that are related to military, space research. All these things, all these technologies are not available to normal people, right? So you cannot really, in fact, not just available, you do not even have an idea if they exist. Like, you know that yes, a microwave oven exists, right? You know that yes, a laser pen exists, right? But I would have no idea if a laser guided missile, I would not have access to that, right? Economically feasible. Now, you have to understand that if I get, say, 5 kilograms of gold, uh, in probably, if someone tells me that if I dig up the whole Dehradun, I might get 5 kilograms of gold. But would I do that? Because 5 kilograms of gold, whatever it costs, right? Say it costs X amount right now in the market. To dig up whole Dehradun, it would cost me probably 20,000 times of X, and then extract. Would I do it? Surely not, because it is just not worth it. So, it's a resource for me? Probably not. And culturally acceptable can be termed as a resource. Guys, uh, for example, you're in class 10, so I can say now. Uh, Say, for example, things like, say for examples, can I grow, because India, this is India, this is not Afghanistan. Now, can I start growing poppy plants in Dehradun, so that I can have a good crop of cocaine, heroin? Would that be culturally acceptable? Is it in India? No. Anyone who does that would be put behind bars, right? Why? Because we are not that society that would encourage and promote and be happy about growing hashish and ganja and all these things in every nook and corner of our homes. Definitely not. Why? Because it is culturally not acceptable. So, the process of transformation of things available in our environment involves an interactive relationship between nature, technology, and institutions. Human beings interact with nature through technology and create institutions to accelerate their economic development. Now, do you think resources are free gifts of nature as is assumed by many? Students, this was a question where the answer was always yes. People always felt that yes, anything that is available in nature is free and should be used by all. No one owns them, and definitely it is free. No one needs to pay for it. But then gradually we realized that no, that's not so. Of course, these are resources, but just because they happen to be in nature, it does not mean that anyone can use it and they are there for free, right? For example, now water, let's say water. Yes, of course, probably I can go and take bath in a dam. Probably I can even catch some fish. Probably I can do some boating there. Probably I can stay at the government rest house, which is right next to the lake, or probably right in the middle of a lake, right? But if I have to produce hydroelectricity from it, would it not cost? And if I am using that hydroelectricity as a customer, because it is costing a great amount of money to the person who is producing that hydroelectricity, right? So if I'm using that electricity, I'll have to pay for it. Can I say, "Arey yaar, pani to free ka tha, to why should I pay anything for the electricity?" I can't. Can I? Of course I can't. Even we can't. Why? Because there's an enormous amount of technology, enormous amount of machinery, enormous amount of human capital that would be needed to generate electricity from those gallons and gallons of water, right? So these are the questions which gradually human beings understood that yes, of course, it might be available in nature, but that can't be free. Like gold is available in nature, silver is, diamond is available in nature. But do you think they are for free? The only things that probably can be considered to be free as gifts of nature would be air. These days, earlier it used to be water. Now, not even water is considered to be, that is free of charge. You and I, we all know that we buy water all the time, whether the water that comes into our homes or whether we are buying bottled water from the market. We pay for it. Right now, even if you enter a restaurant or an eating place, they would ask you, the waiter would ask you, "Sir, kaun sa pani lenge? Normal ya Bisleri?" That's what they ask you, right? The normal, you don't have to pay. The Bisleri, you definitely have to, right? They transform material available in our environment into resources and use them. These resources can be classified in the following ways: on the basis of origin, biotic or abiotic, that is whether available in the nature directly or not. On the basis of exhaustibility, renewable and non-renewable, yani ki renewable would be which can be reused, which can be recreated and reused, right? जो कि चलता रहता है, like air or solar energy, things like that. And non-renewable, of course, as we would see later, it is of course, and even as the term suggests, कि once it is gone, it is gone. And on the basis of ownership, individual, community, national and international, and on the basis of status of development, potential, developed, stock, and reserves. So now let's go to types of resources on the basis of origin. Now, biotic resources, these are obtained from biosphere and have life, such as human beings, flora and fauna, fisheries, livestock, etc. And as you know, it's very self-explanatory, students, that it means the resource that we extract from nature, that is available in nature. Now, abiotic resources, all those things which are composed of non-living things are called abiotic resources. For example, rocks and metals. For example, uranium or diamonds or silver, gold. All these things would be abiotic because they do not have life in them. Now, biotic is, of course, you have life in them. Now, on the basis of exhaustibility, कौन कितनी जल्दी समाप्त होता है. Renewable resources, the resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical, or mechanical processes are known as renewable or replenishable resources. For example, solar and wind energy, water, forests, wildlife, etc. The renewable resource may further be divided into continuous or fluid. Guys, it is essentially now, in the changing times. So if you look at the example, solar, wind, energy, renewable, that is, forests and wildlife. Now, there would be many people who would object to forest and wildlife being added to renewable, right? They would rather prefer it to be added to non-renewable these days. Yes, technically, of course, you can grow plants and forests all the time, but the point is they take enormous amount of time. A plant takes a huge amount of time to get convert into a tree, and then become a forest, and then attract animals who can take shelter there, who can live there, animals, birds, reptiles, all those things, the whole flora and fauna. Now once it is gone, guys, you can keep the old jungles. Once they are gone, it's not just that the trees that are gone, or the whole animal life, the whole plant life that has taken shelter there, the rivers, everything suffers. The rivers dry up. It takes then generations for the rivers to again have water in them. They become dry, or they literally become kind of drains. They start looking like drains rather than rivers. There might still be some water left, but then definitely they are not rivers. They don't have fresh water anymore. So these things are also now, by purists and environmentalists, they would not like it to be as a part of renewable resource, because there's an enormous amount of time which is taken for this to get into, to get this replenished. Now, non-renewable resources, these occur over a very long geological time, and that's exactly the reason, guys, why forests and wildlife is also kind of being now objected to being considered as part of renewable. We all know that the whole planet is actually facing this problem of global warming and the loss of vegetation and deforestation. Why? Because it is easier said that yes, if I chop one tree, I'll plant five more, and if I all that is just talk, right? It's very difficult to regain what you have lost when it comes to natural life and natural flora and fauna and vegetation. So non-renewable, it's done on the basis of ownership. Individual resources, these are also owned privately by individuals. Many farmers own land which is allotted to them by the government against the payment of revenue, जो कि if you go to the courts of India, the civil courts of India, हर कोई एक दूसरे की ज़मीन ट्रांसफ़र कर रहा होता है, या ज़मीन के कागजात बना रहा होता, या people are selling it to each other and registering it in the names of different individuals. So in villages there are people with land ownership, but there are many who are even landless. And urban people own plots, houses, and other property, plantation, pasture lands, ponds, waters, and wells, etc. Now these are individually owned. जहाँ पे कि आप कहते हैं हाँ ये मेरा घर है, हाँ ये मैं यहाँ रहता हूँ, right? This is my campus. ठीक है, ये मेरे खेत हैं. So that is definitely because you have paid money for it. You've paid money either to the government directly or to someone who once paid it to the government, right? So that is an individual resource. हम उसमें से अब आप जो करते हैं, उसमें उस ज़मीन में आप खेती करते हैं, उस ज़मीन में आप कोई एक छोटी सी दुकान लगाते हैं, all that now is a individual resource. Yes. Okay. Now, community owned resources, there are resources which are accessible to all the members of community: village commons, grazing grounds, burial grounds, village ponds, etc., public parks, picnic spots. Guys, this is very easy. आप जानते हैं कि yes, नदियाँ, समुद्र, all these things, national parks. Yeah, guys, no one can say that they own it, all right? Because everything is, these things are accessible to everyone, right? Now no one can say कि हम तो भाई घंटा घर पूरा हमारा ही है. No, it's not possible, because anyone can go there. You can go there, I can go there, unless the government intervenes and probably passes a certain certain kind of orders that yes, this cannot be used for such and such long time, like for example during this corona crisis. Yes, of course, we were not allowed to move even out of our homes. So guys, we will continue tomorrow. Thank you.